What happens when one of the world's most recognizable artists arrives in a major American city? And within hours, fans are already struggling to find the right words to describe what they have seen. And what happens when that artist is Jimin? Chicago has suddenly become the center of attention for ARMY, as Jimin's first day in the city sparked an emotional wave of reactions across social media. One fan post, like the one shown in the image, described Jimin with an almost overwhelmed reaction, using crying, fire, and heart emojis to express just how stunned they were by his appearance. But here is the question everyone should be asking. Was it simply Jimin's appearance that caused such a reaction? Or was there something deeper happening between Jimin and the fans who had waited so long to see him in Chicago? That is where this story becomes much more interesting. Because when someone like Jimin arrives in a major international city, it is never simply about an artist showing up for a schedule. For millions of ARMY around the world, moments like this represent years of music, memories, anticipation, and emotional connection. And Chicago may have just witnessed another one of those unforgettable moments. So stay with us until the end of this story, because later we are going to look more closely at why Jimin's presence created such a strong reaction, what fans were focusing on, and why a seemingly simple appearance can carry so much emotional weight for people who have followed BTS for years. And one important clarification before we continue. The reactions we are discussing come from fan conversations and social media posts. Individual fan comments should not automatically be treated as official statements or verified facts. Instead, they help us understand the atmosphere surrounding Jimin's appearance and why so many people were talking about him. Now let's go back to Chicago, a city known for its towering skyline, busy streets, incredible architecture, and millions of people moving through it every single day. But for ARMY, Chicago suddenly had another story to tell. Jimin was there. And for fans who have followed BTS for years, those three words can carry enormous emotional meaning. To someone unfamiliar with BTS, seeing a celebrity arrive in a city may seem like an ordinary event. But ARMY sees something different. They see an artist whose career has unfolded in front of them. They have watched Jimin grow from a young performer into a global star. They have witnessed different eras, different hairstyles, different stages, different songs, and different chapters of BTS's journey. They have celebrated achievements. They have waded through difficult periods. They have supported individual projects. And they have continued following Jimin, even when he was not physically standing in front of them. So when he finally appears in a city like Chicago, the emotional reaction can be much stronger than outsiders might expect. And that is exactly what makes the reactions surrounding this moment so fascinating. The fan post shown in the image uses extremely emotional language to describe Jimin. It is filled with emojis that communicate excitement, shock, admiration, and affection. At first glance, it might look like just another excited fan comment. But look closer. The intensity of that reaction tells us something about the emotional relationship between Jimin and his audience. Jimin has a unique ability to create moments that feel personal, even when he is standing in front of thousands of people. Sometimes it does not require a huge gesture. It can be something as simple as a smile, a wave, a glance toward the crowd, a small expression, or simply the way he responds when he hears ARMY calling his name. To someone watching from a distance, those moments may last only a few seconds. But to a fan who has waited years for that experience, those few seconds can become a memory they carry for the rest of their lives. And this is one of the most important pieces of the Chicago story. It is not only about whether Jimin looked handsome, stylish, or breathtaking. It is about what his presence represents. For many fans, Jimin represents a journey filled with music, performances, personal growth, and memories. His presence can bring back memories of songs that helped fans through difficult days. It can remind them of concerts they attended years ago. It can remind them of friends they met through BTS. And for some older or long-time fans, it may even represent a chapter of their own lives that has continued alongside BTS's career. Think about that for a moment. Someone may have discovered BTS years ago. Perhaps they were going through a difficult period at the time. Then they found a song. They found the members. They found a community. And slowly, BTS became part of their daily lives. Years later, that same person may be standing in Chicago waiting to see Jimin. The moment is no longer simply about an idol. It becomes a reflection of everything that happened between the first song they heard and the moment they finally see him in person. That is the emotional power behind a fandom as large and dedicated as ARMY. And when Jimin appears, all of those memories can suddenly come rushing back. But there is another fascinating part of this story. The internet changes everything. In the past, a fan might have experienced a special moment at a concert and shared it with a few friends. Today, one photograph or short video can travel across the world within minutes. A fan in Chicago posts something. Another fan in Los Angeles sees it. Someone in London shares it. Another person in Seoul reacts. And suddenly, a moment that happened in one city becomes a global conversation. This is one of the reasons Jimin's appearance can generate such enormous attention. The physical event may happen in Chicago, but the emotional reaction does not stay there. It travels. It spreads. It is not simply about Jimin being visually striking. It is about the emotional energy created when an artist meets an audience that has been waiting for him. And that energy can be felt from both sides. The fans are excited to see Jimin. But artists can also feel the energy coming from the audience. Imagine standing on a stage and hearing thousands of people say your name. For any performer, that moment can be powerful. But for someone who has spent years building a career with those fans, it can carry an entirely different emotional weight. The crowd becomes a reminder of the journey. Every scream represents someone who listened. Every light represents someone who waited. Every voice represents someone who chose to be there. And that is why moments like Chicago matter. They create a physical connection between the music and the people who made that music part of their lives. But there is still another layer to this story. Jimin is not only an individual artist. He is also part of BTS. That means that whenever Jimin appears somewhere, fans naturally connect the moment to the larger BTS story. They remember the members together. They remember performances. They remember backstage moments. They remember laughter. They remember the chemistry between the members. And even when one member is standing alone, the presence of BTS is never completely absent from the emotional landscape of ARMY. That is especially true for fans who have been following the group for many years. Jimin's individual success does not erase the group. Instead, it becomes another chapter in the larger BTS story. And that is why seeing Jimin in Chicago can make fans feel as though they are witnessing something much bigger than one appearance. They are witnessing another page in a journey that has already crossed continents. From Seoul to cities around the world, BTS has built a global community that continues to respond whenever one of its members appears. Chicago is simply the latest location where that connection is being felt. And perhaps that is the secret behind the intense reaction. Not the outfit. Not the hairstyle. Not the camera angle. Not even the headlines. The real secret is the emotional history between Jimin and ARMY. Because when you understand that history, a single smile can mean more. A single wave can feel bigger. A single appearance can become unforgettable. And suddenly, the question is no longer, why are fans reacting so strongly? The better question is, what memories are they reliving in that moment? That is the part of this story that cannot be measured by views, likes, or trending hashtags. It is personal. It is emotional. And for many fans, it is deeply meaningful. But just when you think we have reached the heart of the Chicago story, there is another chapter waiting. Because Jimin's first day is only the beginning. What happened next? How did the atmosphere change as more fans reacted? Why did certain images and moments attract so much attention? And what does this reaction reveal about the extraordinary connection Jimin continues to have with ARMY around the world? Those questions lead us directly into the next part of our story,